In today's Leeds news, Leeds to consider January sale, centre-backs on the list, striker watched by Leeds, Firpo's future up in the air, and Ben Sheaf on Leeds' radar. Morning folks, Jer here on Monday morning the 6th of January with your Leeds United news. I hope you've all had a really good weekend and got over the poor result on Saturday, or the throwing away of 3 points on Saturday literally, and there's a lot of talk today around issues that have popped up from that. Just to give you a quick update, we will have a podcast tonight at 7pm. Paul will be joining me from Leeds Therapy, possibly some other guests as well, and we'll have James Marshman from Team Talk tomorrow night at 6pm on to talk about Leeds season so far and what's coming up in the January transfer window. And also, just to plug it real quick, we have launched our merch store. You'll see the options down in the corner there, and I'll give you more detail at the end of the video. But there's a lot of stuff to get stuck into, so let's not hang around, and we'll start off with the goalkeeping situation. And according to the Daily Mail, 49ers Enterprises are said to have decided on the future of current Leeds United goalkeeper Illan Meslier. The report says that the Leeds United owners may now be open to considering options for the goalkeeping position and may look to move Meslier on as early as this month. However, the report does state that Leeds will only consider sanctioning an exit of Meslier should the fee that they want be reached by any club interested in the player. There are reports of interest in France in the goalkeeper. Manchester United have been linked to him as a backup option, as well as Arsenal looking at him as a backup option, which would be interesting to see if they decide to move now after what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. But John Newsom on BBC talking about the situation, he says that he wouldn't sell Meslier in January, and mostly due to the fact that the finances involved, given what's happened recently and given the January window, Leeds would likely receive less money for Meslier in January than they will at the end of the season. But it would be interesting to see if Leeds decide to make a dramatic move on this, and does Daniel Farke back his goalkeeper after several mistakes this season have cost Leeds several points, or does he decide to make a change? And Carl Darlow is the likely first option to come in there this weekend against Harrogate. He could force his way into the team and maybe maintain that position and take a bit of pressure off the Leeds backline, who didn't look impressed with Meslier at all at the clips that are going around social media right now. So it's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. If there is interest in Meslier, he's got 18 months left on his contract. Leeds could move him on now if they get some money for him and bring in another goalkeeper, although it wasn't said to be a priority. There are loose reports again flying around about Queven Kelleher, who, by the way, has previously stated he is not interested in a move to the Championship and wants to move to a Champions League club, so could probably rule that one out as well. Moving on to players that are possibly coming into Leeds United, and again, all these transfer rumours that are popping up today are all rumours or speculation until anything real happens with them, but we'll share them anyway. And there have been a couple of updates on players that have been linked with Leeds United, and the centre-back position appears to be some area that Leeds are having a very, very close look at. The first one to come out over the weekend was another report around Leeds making a move for Nottingham Forest centre-back Andrew Omobamidele, who was linked with Leeds United a couple of weeks ago, and Daniel Farke has a relationship with that player, having given him his debut at Norwich. The report states that an £11 million loan to buy offer could be enough to bring Omobamidele into Leeds United and give Daniel Farke another centre-back that he has been working with. And the report states that Leeds have held discussions with Nottingham Forest around a move for the centre-back. It'll be interesting to see what he does there. Again, he does have a relationship with Daniel Farke. Daniel Farke is possibly looking at changing to a 3 at the back, which means this would be a smart move. There are reports about Spurs still keeping an eye on Pascal Struijk, but another name that keeps popping up and has popped up again at the weekend is defender Nico Elvedi. Frankfurter Run the Show claimed that Leeds could splash £10 million to bring Elvedi into the club. Again, another player that Daniel Farke has a relationship with, working with him at Mönchengladbach. But Elvedi himself is said to prefer a move in the summer once promotion has been guaranteed for Leeds United and they're back in the Premier League, and he would rather play there than a drop to the Championship. Wolverhampton Wanderers are the only Premier League club said to be interested in Elvedi and keeping an eye on him, and in that report the player is stated as saying he would prefer to stay at Gladbach until the end of the season and make a decision on his future in the summer window. But it will come down to which of these two comes in. Daniel Farke bringing in any new player, we know he will sit him on the bench for several weeks and months before he trusts them enough to give them some game time. The fact that Elvedi and Omobamidele have a relationship with Daniel Farke means it's more likely they could come in straight away and get involved in the side. Moving on to a striker that's been linked this morning, and I would take this one with a big hefty chunk of salt, and this is a report coming from the Mail as well, but they claim that Leeds are lining up a move for a Bundesliga striker. The Mail claimed that Leeds are watching Hoffenheim striker Mergim Berisha, and the report claims the Whites have shown interest in the 26-year-old already this month. Berisha missed a massive portion of last season and this season due to a significant injury, but is back playing now and has scored 1 goal in 3 appearances, 3 starts for Hoffenheim so far, with an assist as well. So 2 goal involvements in the 3 starts that he has, but his goal tally isn't overly impressive, and that has to be said. Last year, due to injury, he scored very few goals, and the season before that, when he was fit, he had 9 goals in 20 appearances, but his involvement and his contributions to previous sides, Red Bull Salzburg and Augsburg, were said to be significant, and significant enough to get him a German call-up as well as a move to Hoffenheim. But this deal feels kind of unlikely. It's not exactly what Leeds are looking at for me in that position. Dor Torgerman's been linked as well, and he seems like a more likely one, with possible reports of players leaving the club. His age profile and what he does and what he would bring in terms of a different profile of striker appear to me to make more sense, but we'll have to see what happens in the coming days. Moving on to an exit now that looks all but done, and this relates to Joe Gelhardt, and Joe Gelhardt will reportedly be allowed to leave Leeds United this month. Joffrey made his return to the Leeds United squad for the first time since Bristol City game after Patrick Bamford pulled out with a hamstring injury, and Joffrey got a position on the bench, but unfortunately no minutes on the field. And various reports today say that Leeds will sanction a loan exit for Joffrey away from Leeds United in January, and there are said to be several options for the player who has featured very little under Daniel Farke's reign. According to Darren Whitcup, he claims that Gelhardt is now currently weighing up his decision between staying in the Championship or moving further afield. According to Whitcup, Queen's Park Rangers, Plymouth, Portsmouth and Glasgow Rangers are all said to be interested in bringing the player in on loan. Rangers would prefer a permanent move for the player, but maybe a loan to buy could be on their agenda right now. But Leeds have said that they will sanction the move. It will depend on Patrick Bamford's injury status. The hamstring is a problem again for Bamford. It's going to be hard to sell a player who's not fit often enough, and Bamford again has been injured for the bulk of this season, or not selectable by Daniel Farke, which is its own conversation in itself, so we'll have to wait and see. But if Gelhardt goes out, we're likely to see another striker come in to replace him. Another player that's potentially on the edge of an exit away from Leeds United is Junior Firpo, and we've talked an awful lot over this season about what would happen with the player after a very good season last year, after a couple of shaky seasons in the Premier League, and this season injuries and suspensions have dogged his start to the campaign. But as things stand right now, Junior Firpo is open to negotiating a free transfer agreement with a club this month in order to move away from Leeds United at the end of the season on a free transfer. According to reports, Leeds have made no attempt to offer Junior Firpo a new contract, despite rumours that the player himself might actually be interested in signing a new deal should Leeds put it in front of him. According to Team Talk, Firpo's camp are laying down the groundwork for a return to Spain to his former club Real Betis. The report claims that Firpo would be open to a move to his former club Betis in Spain should it come up, but it's not clear cut or cut and dry by any shape of the imagination. Firpo played for Betis back in 2014 and was there till 2019 before moving to Barcelona, a move that didn't work out particularly well for him before then joining Leeds. Team Talk say that initial contacts between intermediaries between Firpo's camp and Real Betis have already taken place, with the Spanish side interested in bringing the former player back to the club. But it's not cut and dry, as I say, and Firpo is said that he would consider signing a new contract at Leeds United should they put that in front of him, and he may be willing to wait a little bit of time to see if that happens. Also, returning to Betis doesn't mean a guarantee of football either, and he's likely to go in as backup cover for current right back Ricardo Rodriguez, although his performances recently have been called into question. Firpo is due back into the Leeds United camp imminently and could be involved in the Harrogate game this weekend in the FA Cup to get him back involved, and it'll be interesting to see what his demeanour is like, what Daniel Farke does with him, and does he bypass Isaac Schmidt, who's been sitting patiently waiting on his time. And if that does happen, it's likely to cause more questions around what's going on in that situation, but I don't think we'll ever really find out about that one. And then moving on to the final rumour story today, and this one relates to Ben Sheff of Coventry City, and Leeds are understood, according to reports, to be preparing a bid for the Coventry City midfielder. Reports state that Coventry are in a situation where they have to keep within the financial requirements of PSR and may have to sanction an exit in January in order to do that, but it is said a sale of Sheaf would need a significant bid to bring him in. There is also said to be Premier League interest in the central midfielder, and he wouldn't be high on Leeds' priority list right now given the other positions that Leeds need to look at in January, and the fact that Daniel Farke has already said Leeds would have a quiet window, despite the fact that he said after the game against Hull that this Leeds squad wasn't the finished article, which seems contradictory to me. But it is believed that Coventry would consider an £8 million sale of the player should it come in. Sheff this season has an 87% passing accuracy, as well as creating 23 chances and winning over 100 duels so far this season. He wins about 53% of all of his tackles in midfield, which might add a little bit more steel in the Leeds midfield. But given the options that Leeds have in midfield, this seems like a very unlikely move. And outside of Coventry's finances and whether Leeds are looking at this as a potential move for a Premier League level midfielder, Leeds may have to make a move should he become available in January and should Premier League clubs get an interest, or they can sit back and wait and see what options they have come the summer. But there will be a lot of talk now. Leeds were potentially looking at a 10, maybe a 9 and a centre back in this window. There's now a lot more talk around Leeds potentially looking at a goalkeeper. Noel Tornquist has been linked with Leeds United, and contrary to reports going around today, Leeds are said to have not made contact with Malmo just yet about the player, but that could start to come up. Tornquist has been linked with Leeds quite a lot over the past couple of months, but we'll let you know more on that as and when we hear it. And just again, a reminder to everyone who's stuck with the video till the end, the View merch store is now available through Back 4. You'll see the details over here. It's a partnership with the guys. They do all Leeds merch as well as just merch for this channel, but there's plenty of options there. The link is down in the descriptions if you want to buy something that will help support this channel, and that link will work for any of the articles that are on that website as well, so you can dip in if you want to. And I'm back tonight at 7 p.m. for the podcast, and tomorrow 6 p.m. James Martian from Team Talk joins us to discuss Leeds season and transfer window. Have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon. See you then. Bye.